Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakah Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who as well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainal. The title of the video is Trump Declares War on LA. Now, basically, we have in the streets of LA, Trump going crazy.
Let's talk briefly.
Yeah, oh my God.
Right. And these are things that the prophets and the Lord have been telling you would come, and is basically coming now, in the beginning stages of this, because this is going to amplify, right? The whole of Babylon will be troubled. All cities will be troubled, right? Because the elites run with, order out of chaos, right? And we're in the time where the end is manifesting itself, right? So the downfall of Babylon the Great is happening right before your eyes, and we're witnessing, the pains, right?
We have tear gas. We have fireworks going off. Tear gas is in the air. People are dispersing. I can't see anything.
That was a scene from last night in Los Angeles as the Trump regime quite literally declared war on its own citizens. The Trump regime invoked 10 USC section 12406, which is entirely inapplicable to what's taking place, and it's invalid the way Trump invoked it because it requires a governor's consent, which did not take place here. But the Trump regime issued a memo federalizing the National Guard in California to go against the people of California based on a manufactured.
Right. So just like as always, we see Trump moving, in a way where he's a king, right? Not listening to the courts, the judges, or anything like that. Isaiah 19:1, it says the burden of Egypt, right, which is Babylon. It says, behold, the Lord Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, right? So the Lord Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud is what? Yahweh shall come with those chariots. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. It says, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. So that's American against American, right? And that's soon to come, because you have actual, American citizens being attacked by these American citizen ICE officers, but it's gonna amplify, right? Once there is no longer water or food in the streets, right? Lights in the streets. It says, I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fall in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. So Babylon the Great is losing its power also because there's no more wisdom. They're not making any correct moves towards their agenda, right? They're moving with great wrath, right? So they're not making the right decisions. It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord Yahweh, the Lord of hosts. See, so this fierce king is Donald Trump, right? He's not listening to any mayors or, governors or anything like that. He's doing exactly what he wants to do to bring about their order.
Situation that the Trump regime provoked by sending ICE to attack communities and to provoke and cause chaos in communities in Los Angeles and in the adjacent areas to Los Angeles. The memo that Donald Trump issued last night while he was at a UFC fight, mind you, is called the Department of Defense Security for the Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions memo. And as I said, it invokes section 10 USC 12406. And I'll go explain to you what that means in a little bit. But let's just go back a little bit. Over the past few days, the Trump regime was conducting ICE raids in downtown Los Angeles to start. They were targeting apparel factories where migrants were hard at work. They were targeting courthouses where migrants were going through a lawful process to have their cases heard. They were targeting neighborhoods where migrants were raising their families. They were targeting areas where migrants were peaceful and contributing to the economy. Home Depot, parking lots. They were not going after criminals or gangbangers. They were going after peaceful, hardworking migrants, which Donald Trump purportedly told his.
Right. And, a lot of our people are in that state, right? A lot of the northern tribes are in that state where they're just coming here to America. They're doing whatever they got to do to just, make things work here in this world, right? Which is not our home. This is not our rest, but Babylon the Great is the best place on earth to make money and do things. And people know that, that's why people come. That's why merchants want to come and sell to America, because America is a consumer state. They buy and sell, and it's a good growth that can happen. So those migrants are coming here, which are the Lord's people, and they're getting attacked now in these last days because they didn't follow after the law, statutes, commandments, of the Father, and we're entering in the time now of Jacob's trouble. Let me get that Jeremiah, I believe it's Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30:6, it said, ask ye now and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. It says, alas, that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So now we're entering, into the starting stages of Jacob's trouble, and our people are feeling it, and a lot of them don't know what's going on, so they're fighting back, getting detained and shipped away. But we, the ones that know exactly what's going on, we're, seeking shelter from the Lord Yahweh, praying about it, and warning our people, what's happening. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 68. It says, For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. So, right, so a lot of our people are idle, right? They're not coming and turning back to Lord Yahweh, right? They're not doing the work. They're not helping the ministry, right? It says, and ultimately that idle thing that they're going to give them is the MOTB. Eventually, ultimately, these individuals will be tracked and chipped to be, tracked and monitored. It says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. So these are the ICE agents, right? Which is only going to amplify, right? Trump is not backing down. They're not going to just one day stop the ICE raids. They're going to try to get more ICE soldiers. There's bills in place and things like that where they're deputizing soldiers, right? They have soldiers. They have entered the National Guard to also help with this situation. So they're going to deputize these individuals and have them come hard against a lot of people, a lot of individuals, right? It says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you idols, being idle, and feed you being idle with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place and in the next city a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord Yahweh. And that's why I said this is the beginning stages, because soon this thing is going to spread like wildfire, right? Over there, like Israel. Israel is on fire, right? You had California on fire. This thing is going to sprout like even Canada. Canada is going through right now. This thing is going to spread like wildfire across the whole of the United States, right? It says, for there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord Yahweh. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, right? And even now, they don't have to do that because everyone is taken to the streets. That's uproars of the people, right? The end has manifested itself, right? You have the people that was inside their homes not knowing nothing, now outside in the streets trying to protest against what the government is doing to them, like they actually have the power to do anything. It says, for they shall, this is verse 71, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, right? So ultimately what comes out of this is knowing who is the chosen of the Lord, those that are protected, those that get that spiritual power, right? Those that make a way to escape the perils of these last days, right?
Base that he was not going to do, but we all told you that he was lying. So that happened yesterday. That happened on Friday. Then on Saturday, the Trump regime expanded the operation to the areas kind of surrounding the city of Los Angeles, still within the county, areas like Paramount and Santa Fe, areas like Compton, a lot of areas, Torrance, surrounding the city itself within the county. And again, they were specifically kind of targeting communities where there were hardworking Latino families just going about working or living their peaceful lives or just trying to raise their families. Why? The Trump regime wanted to provoke something that they could essentially claim was an insurrection so that they could federalize the National Guard, which they ended up doing last night, and send the troops against the people of California. So let's just take a look at some of the scenes of what went down yesterday. Here was video where you can see some less than lethal rounds, which are still could be very lethal, being used against protesters in Southern California. This was in an area called Paramount, which is about 10 to 15 miles kind of south of Los Angeles. Take a look right here of what went down.
Los Angeles. This is live. You see the images. It's continuing. These crowd dispersal tactics being used on a group of protesters that are protesting in Paramount, California. Those in the area basically call this Compton. It's outside the Home Depot, where protests began earlier today, and there we see those gas canisters. The people covering their eyes, their mouths, their noses. These pepper balls impact all of the senses. And this is a big show that they're doing here. A big display of the less than lethal rounds.
Here's another just insane scene of what we were seeing yesterday with ICE out and about in Paramount. Play this clip. Here's another image of the ICE raid, and you'll see community resistance in front of this Home Depot in Paramount. Take a look.
Now let me grab that real quick. As the scriptures speak of upward of the people, I believe this is the second Ezra. Let me double check. Okay, yeah, this is second Ezra 9. Because these things are going to happen upwards of the people, but also you have these different agents that have snuck into these things to kind of amplify this a bit more. This is second Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? Who have told you these things? The prophets and the Lord, starting with the men of GMS on down, right? Elder Paul Star on down. They've been out there 40 plus years telling you that these things will come, and now we're living in those days, right? And we have some of us have entered into these men's labor, and we're still pushing the word, and warning the sheep, which is our just service. So anyway, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things that were from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Right. So yeah. And it goes on. Right. The ends manifest. Let me grab his name on it. So there's going to be upwards of the people, earthquakes and different things like that taking place. And these upwards of the people are the people out there on the streets, protesting. But ultimately, what? A lot of these people are agents that intensify the fire, so to speak, because the elites want order out of chaos. They want complete chaos. Right. So imagine if the scriptures say wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. We didn't know when you were just out there and you got these agents, an agent might pull up with a pocket bomb or something, and now you're in the mix of that and you through, you know what I mean? So anyway, I just started at 13, Nahum 3 and 13 says, behold, thy people in the midst of thee are as women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars, right? So this talking about Babylon the Great, right? And Babylon the Great, for the most part, have, took a subtle backseat route to the war that's taking place, between America, NATO, and Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, and all of that, right? America is trying to pretend, for the most part, that they're not there. They're not fighting men, right? They're not, saying that they're actually fighting and whatnot, right? And they don't want to fight, right? They don't want to fight. They want these people to back down. They want Russia to back down. They want Russia to take a deal, right? They want all these individuals around their so-called allies or whatever to not fight at all and just take a deal, and then they can come in with bombs and just, not fight and obliterate, like Trump says. It said, draw the waters for the siege, fortify thy strongholds, go into clay and tread mortar, make strong the brickman. Like I said before, Trump is now trying to do what? Fortify the city, the Golden Dome, different things, increase the military. It says, there shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off. It shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. It says, make thyself many as the cankerworm, make thyself many as the locust. Right. So he's multiplying himself, with his soldiers and different things like that. Agent provocateurs, right? NLT says, but the fire will devour you. The sword will cut you down. The enemy will consume you like locusts, devouring everything they see. There will be no escape, even if you multiply like swarming locusts, right? So you can continue to multiply, heap unto you many nations, heap unto you more soldiers, right drafts and all of that stuff, and you still will be destroyed. That was the point. You know, so let me go back to the video.
Here's another image of what was going down in Paramount. Play this clip. A lot of this footage was captured on the Citizen app as well. Like here you have new video of some of the ICE attacks on the immigrants. This is in Inglewood from yesterday. Here, play this clip.
Déjalo. Hey, just let me. Déjalo, papa. Déjalo, papa. Papa, déjalo. Está bien, déjalo, déjalo. Déjalo, déjalo.
So with all of that taking place, you know, Stephen Miller then put out a statement that this is an insurrection. And
right, and these devils pride themselves in separating families, right? You know, the dude is legal, you know, so you were saying whatnot, but take the father away from the home, right? It's like the widow. Spike your beard. Let me see if I can find this. All right, Slack, just
insurrection against the laws and sovereignty of the United States. Then Tom Homan went on TV and he said, oh, you know, we're going to have to activate, you know, the National Guard. We're going to have to federalize it. So we were wondering, are they going to federalize the National Guard? Are they going to invoke the Insurrection Act? They actually technically didn't invoke the Insurrection Act. They invoked another act that allows you to federalize the National Guard if you're the president, but you have to work with the governor and it's under very narrow circumstances. So I'll go and break that down. So while Donald Trump was at a UFC fight, he posted the following: if Governor Gavin Newsom of California and Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles can't do their jobs, which everyone knows they can't, then the federal government will step in and solve the problem, riots and looters, the way it should be solved. Let's take a look at this map here. You can see all of the areas here with potential ICE sightings, and you'll see, you know, really from downtown Los Angeles, it kind of expands out. Let's talk briefly about the statute that Donald Trump invoked, 10 USC section 12406. It's not the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act is 10 USC section 253. But just take a look at what 12406, what Donald Trump invoked, actually says. Here's what it says: whenever, one, the United States or any of the Commonwealths or possessions.
All right, you know, so he goes on to say that. Let me grab this. You know, just going into the different, you know, draconian measures that Trump is bringing out here in these last days. It's like Exodus chapter 15, verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. Right, and we can see this because even now these individuals are going out and they're throwing type bombs at the ICE agents and things like that. You know, they're not caring. They're only caring about, you know, trying to help themselves, basically. So how much more when there's no food, you know, no water, no lights or anything like that. Verse 16 again, it says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? Yeah. I'll read this. It says, a man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right. So that's what's coming to the planet, right? That's what's coming to America. And these things are only going to intensify, you know. So Lord willing, you edify from the lesson. I'll say shalom, still for the leg, which consists of men, women, and children, shalom.